Hello everyone, welcome to EKuhipath and welcome back to another class of our daily current affairs. These are the topics that we have taken today. So let's start the class. The first topic is Sabka Bima Sabki Raksha Amendment of Insurance Law Bill 2025. The Lok Sabha has passed the Sabka Bikas Sabka Raksha Amendment of Insurance Law Bill 2025 aimed at accelerating the growth of the insurance sector. Insurance sector growth karone eta new bill Lok Sabha pass korise jonto hoise Sabka Bima Sabki Raksha Bill 2025. Okay. So amendment eta kora goise insurance billor. So ki hoise growth anibo karone insurance sector aru ease of doing business khini improve koribo karone aru regulatory oversight strengthen koribo karone aru protection of policy holders, better protection of policy holders. So khini karone eta pass kora goise Sabka Bima Sabki Raksha. ঠিক আছে India's insurance sector has traditionally been regulated through our insurance sector to traditionally regulate hoy ase through Insurance Act of 1938, LIC Act of 1956 and IRDA Act of 1999. And despite multiple reforms, বহুতখিনি reforms হৈছে যদিও কিছুমান challenges থাকি গৈছে এতিয়াও যেনেকে low insurance penetration and density এতিয়াও মানে insurance penetration ইমান ভালকে apply হোৱা নাই সব জায়গাতে then regulatory rigidity ase regulatory regulation or khetrot then competition and capital inflow khini komi ase limited hoy ase aru awareness manhor majot citizens sokolor majot adequately hua nai and this bill now aligns with the government's broader agenda of financial inclusion amar jonto financial inclusion or eta agenda hoy eta goal hoy government or heture eta initiative boli ami kobo paru he initiative to logot align hoy pele ei bill to ana goise and regulatory reform and capital mobilization amar hikhini khetrot reforms or capital mobilization or khetrot ei bill khone steps loise while expanding insurance coverage among vulnerable section insurance coverage khini jata vulnerable section or khetrot ami aru bohabo paru coverage cover koribo paru ami he bostu khini khetrot ami dekha paiso এই বিলটো align হৈ আছে okay এই বিলটো আনা গৈছে key provisions of the bill যদি আমি কাও amend কৰিছে Insurance Act আমাৰ 1938 LIC Act আৰু IRDA Act খিনি amend কৰা গৈছে আৰু regulatory oversight আৰু transparency আনা গৈছে rule making ৰ ক্ষেত্ৰত বঢ়োৱা গৈছে ease of compliance for insurer and intermediaries সেইখিনি improve কৰা হৈছে and it allows up to 100% FDI in the insurance sector. It also ensures uninterrupted services by insurance intermediaries. Aru it strengthens policyholder protection mechanism. Ekhini bujabologa nai apni buji paise pohote. So ekhini ki provisions hoy. Our government stand ki hoy finance minister ki koise over 17,000 crore infused into public sector insurance companies to enhance competitiveness to bohabor karone public sector insurance companies er khetrot 17,000 crore infused korise then insurance density penetration and coverage khini bohaise over the last 11 years FDI limit raise kora goise jate ami service delivery khini improve koribo paru GST wave otora goise on life and health insurance premium then GST Council Secretariat monitoring whether benefits reach Council Secretariat ase monitoring hoy ase GST Council Secretariat monitoring that whether benefit reach policyholders khini hatot mane benefits khini porise ge nai teonuke paise nai hekhini karone monitoring hoy then emphasis on insurance awareness and regulatory strengthening insurance awareness or regulatory strengthening or khetroto focus kora hoise aru flagship insurance scheme highlighted ki highlight korise scheme PM Jivan Jyoti Bima Yojana PM Suraksha Bima Yojana PM Jan Arogya Yojana Ayushman Bharat Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana so many affordable premium and coverage for the poorest section hekhini focus area hoy hekhini khetrot thik ase so ei schemes keta monot rakhibo important hoy Jyoti Bima Yojana, Suraksha Bima Yojana, Jan Arogya Yojana, Fasal Bima Yojana. So premium and coverage affordable with the for the poor sections of the society. Opposition concerns kismanu ase যে 100% FDI is seen as a step toward privatization of insurance. এটো হয় privatization এটা step হিচাপে দেখা যায়. And demand for referral to a parliamentary standing committee argumented public sector insurer protected India during the 2008 financial crisis. So public sector enterprise to term was I said financial crisis to come. So any concerns, it's not that important, but more details to work. So try to attend this statement based MCQ and a mails question related to this topic. So let's move on to the next. Protecting the Aravalli Range, Supreme Court intervention. This topic is important from GS paper 1 and GS paper 3. Aravalli Range. Okay, it I mean used to silo. Supreme Court of India has issued significant direction to protect the Aravalli mountain range. Aravalli mountain range to protect koibo karne Supreme Court e kisuman direction dise. Hekhini hoise a uniform definition of the Aravalli Hill, a pause on fresh mining leases across Delhi, Haryana, Rajasthan, Gujarat, direction for sustainable mining and ecological restoration. So Aravalli Range is among the oldest mountain system in the world. Amizano 2 billion years old hoy Aravalli Range. It is one of the oldest mountain range amar prithibir bhitor, and it stretches 650 kilometers from Delhi to Gujarat, cutting across Haryana, Rajasthan, and Gujarat. So 650 kilometers stretch ase from Delhi to Gujarat and cutting across Haryana, Rajasthan, and Gujarat. Okay, remember this. আৰু মিনাৰেলছৰ ক্ষেত্ৰতো বহুত ৰিচ হয়, এটা মেজৰ মাইনিং জোন হয় আৰু ইলিগেল আৰু আনৰেগুলেটেড মাইনিং বহুত হয় তাত, which has led to forest degradation, groundwater depletion, severe air pollution, especially in NCR region আমি দেখা পাইছো because of major mining, illegal mining, unregulated mining. All these issues are taking place. And India's commitment under the UN Convention to combat desertification pushed for stronger digital scrutiny. So stronger digital scrutiny karne etia steps loa hoise aru here under our commitment under UN Convention to combat desertification. Geographical and ecological significance jodi sao, it acts as a natural barrier against desertification. Desertification opor eta natural barrier hisabe kaam kore, okay, mountain range kine prevent the spread of Thar desert eastward. Thar desert to jate eastward ahibo noare, hetu karone eta barrier hisabe kaam kori ase jate ei jaga etu side or jaga kine desertified hoi na jay. Yes sir. It plays a key role in climate regulation, groundwater research, biodiversity conservation. It is support system for rivers like river Sabarmati, Sambal, Luni karone eta support system hisabe work kore. ঠিক আছে, আৰু ক্লাইমেট ৰেগুলেশ্যনৰ ক্ষেত্ৰতো বায়োডাইভাৰ্চিটি কনজাৰ্ভেশ্যনৰ ক্ষেত্ৰতো বহুত কন্ট্ৰিবিউশ্যন আছে। Mining and environmental degradation আমি চাওঁ, since the early 1990s mining restricted to approved project by Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. So Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change approve কৰা project খিনি ক্ষেত্ৰতহে অকল mining allow আছিলে, mining to restrict কৰা আছিলে since 1990. But still we have seen that illegal mining hoi ase, especially in Haryana and Rajasthan region ami dekhi paisu. 2009 on Supreme Court eta blanket ban disile in part of Haryana je ekdom hobo noare, completely ban kori disile Haryana region to mining. So enforcement gap continued, kintu ki hol ecological damage to worsen hoi ahi thaka ami dekha paisu. Supreme Court eta intervention korise recently আমি যোনটো এটা পাইছো নিউজত, প্ৰবলেম কি কি আইডেন্টিফাই কৰিছে যে ইউনিফৰ্ম ডেফিনিশ্যন নাই আৰাভালি হিলছৰ, আৰু ষ্টেটছে কি কৰে ডিফাৰেণ্ট ক্ৰাইটেৰিয়া ৰেগুলেটৰী লুপ হোল ইউজ কৰে। চ' সেইটো এটা প্ৰবলেম। আৰু কমিটি কি কি কনষ্টিটিউটেড সেই কমিটিখিনি ইয়াত মেনশ্যন কৰি দিছো, ইউ কেন টেক এ লুক। চ' ইউনিফৰ্ম ডেফিনিশ্যন এটা এডপ্ট কৰিলে প্ৰবলেমটো ৰিজলভ কৰিবলৈ যে hills above 100 meter in height is classified as part of Aravalli Hills. Aravalli Range. So 100 meter ke ukho jonkhini hill hobo, hekhini ke Aravalli Hill Range part boli dhara jabo. And court held this definition to be more inclusive and more workable than slope based or buffer based approaches. Okay. আৰু Central Empowered Committee recommendation কি দিছে scientific mapping of the entire Aravalli range হ'ব লাগে macro level environment impact assessment of mining complete prohibition of mining in wildlife corridor aquifer research zone water bodies protected habitat no new mining lease or renewal until mapping and assessment are complete আৰু strict regulation হ'ব লাগে of stone crushing unit ঠিক আছে then sustainable mining and Aravalli green wall initiative Supreme Court approach ki hoy no total ban of to prevent illegal mining mafia existing legal mining allowed under strict regulation fresh approval paused so complete ban kori dia nai kintu ki korise legal jonkhini mining hoy hekhini allow korise strict regulation or under hekhini koribo para jabo prevent koribo kane illegal mining prevent koribo kane complete ban nokore aru fresh approval bila pause kori dibo Aravalli Green Wall Project hetu hoise Center's Ecological Restoration Initiative that 5 km buffer green area green cover across 29 district so buffer area thakibo 5 km green cover across 29 district state covered Gujarat Haryana Rajasthan and Delhi target to restore 26 million hectares of degraded land by 2030 and support India's land degradation neutrality goal Okay. So try to attempt this MCQ and a mains question related to this topic. Let's move on to the next. Marital rape exception in India call for legislative reform. This topic is important from GS paper 2 and GS paper 4. So private member bill has been introduced in Lok Sabha seeking the removal of the marital rape exception currently retained under 63 of the Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita 2023. So, private member bill eta introduce kora goise Lok Sabha tat seek kora goise je marital rape jonto exception currently dia goise marital rape or exception to dia goise under section 63 of the Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita hetu remove koribo lage hetu kane eta private member bill introduce kora goise a exception exempt a husband from punishment for non consensual sexual intercourse with his wife above 18 years. So, marital rape jodi hoy, jodi eta husband non consensual sex kore with his wife, teta teriko punishment napai boli likha ase. He exception jonto ase hetu remove koribo karone eta bill pass kora goise private member bill eta. So hetu kane news ot asile legal background jodi ami sao ami Shashi Tharoor eta ami article paisilu je teo koisile it is a colonial legacy boli koisile কি হয় the marital rape exception originate from 19th century British law rooted in the idea that marriage implies permanent consent so eta colonial legacy boli koise colonial eta mindset hoy boli koise etu so hetu exception hetu time dia goisile কাৰণ 19th century British law mote mane hetu believe korisil je marriage mane permanent consent mane marriage mane you have right over that other person so hetu mane rape hisabe nodhore So, he bostutu eta soli ahise boli koise neo. Current position ki hoy IPC exception not continued under Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita 2023. Contradict modern constitutional jurisprudence on consent, bodily autonomy and digital privacy. Then constitutional perspective, ami jodi sao. Article 21 Right to life include dignity, bodily integrity, privacy, and decisional autonomy. So, right to life amar thage Article 21 under, and it includes dignity, amar dignity, bodily integrity, amar nijor life or nijor amar right thage amar nijor integrity, privacy. Hekhine amar logot thage amar autonomy. Article 14 mote equality before law, arbitrary classification between married and unmarried women. Then Article 15, prohibition of discrimination on ground of sex. So, ekhini bostu constitutional perspective of ami mention koribo paro. Then Supreme Court jurisprudence jodi ami sao Justice K.S. Puttaswamy right to privacy and bodily autonomy upot koisile. A repeated affirmation that consent is central to sexual autonomy. Marriage does not extinguish fundamental rights. Empirical evidence যদি চাওঁ National Family Health Survey 5 মতে 83% of women between the age of 18 to 49 years who experience sexual violence identifies their current husband as the perpetrator. It indicates that sexual violence is more prevalent within marriages, and illegal immunity leaves married women defenseless. Okay, I mean, it was something that happened. So mostly মানে sexual violence women, married women, মানে marriages ক্ষেত্ৰতে আমি দেখা পাওঁ married womenৰ ক্ষেত্ৰত they face sexual violence from their husbands. So legal immunity যদি দি দিয়ে সেই women খিনিক defenseless বনাই দিয়া যায়, it becomes a threat. Expert and committee recommendation আমি যদি চাওঁ Justice Verma Committee, it categorically recommended removal of the marital rapes exception. Marital exception to remove কৰাৰ কথা কৈছিলে Justice Verma Committee. Observed contradiction in protecting women from sexual violence while exempting husbands. International commitment, Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women. It obligates states to eliminate discrimination in marriage and family relations. Article 253, Parliament empowered to legislate to implement International Convention. Article 51 state to respect international law. Retaining the exception violates India's international human rights obligation. Okay. So, মানে এই violate কৰাটো মানে India international human rights obligation to violate কৰা হৈ যায় যদি আমি exception to retain কৰো. Core argument against this exception, sanctity of marriage is not equal to blanket sexual content. Marriage মানে এটো নহয় যে you have overall consent, যে মানে you have complete right over the other person. It's not like that. It converts consent into compulsion, partnership into possession, which is a dangerous thing, right? So a woman surrenders control over her body upon marriage. So it's a very fearful thing. Counter argument to say that criminalization may lead to false cases. False cases or a threat as a misuse potential exists in all law. Cannot justify denial of justice to genuine victims. Solution lies in fair investigation, judicial safeguard, due process, social and political dimensions of the AMISA. Resistance is rooted in patriarchal notion of family, overemphasis of marital sanctity at the cost of women rights. Ekini bostu ami kon details o ketiba extra ki class loi bela ami discuss koribo paro ha. Current affairs class to ami beshi details o jabo nwaro. Hetu karone moi olop sumuki korisu apnaloke buji paise ponte PDF to thakiboi logote apnaloke sai lebo pare kiba jodi doubt thake you can contact me, you can put it on the comment section below. Okay. Marital sanctity at the cost of women, right? Marital sanctity upor bahut overemphasize kora hoy that women should sacrifice or they should keep the sanctity of the marriage, they should keep it, they should be obedient. Eneka eta patriarchal eta notion thake no he bostutue eta bahut mane effect kore ami dekha pao they have to suffer a lot because of that. Criticism of government's reluctance, defense of the exception even by women ministers. Kyo important ito mo didiso gender justice, law reform, role of parliament versus judiciary like related ama important hoy. Social morality versus constitutional morality tenuka topics or khetro amar eto topic important hoy jay. Okay, try to attempt this MCQ and a mains question related to this topic. Let's move on to the next. India's big leap in the energy sector, in the nuclear energy. India has initiated a decisive transformation in the energy sector with a strong push towards green, clean, reliable and long-term energy security. A 20,000 crore nuclear energy mission proposed amendment to the Atomic Energy Act 1962 and Civil Liability for Nuclear Damage Act 2010, and the entry of private player signals a strategic shift in India's overall energy architecture. আমি এটা decisive transformation দেখিছো energy sectorত আমাৰ এটা push আহিছে towards clean, reliable and long term energy security. এটা 20,000 crore nuclear energy mission এটা propose কৰিছে যাতে আমি amendment আনো to Atomic Energy Act যোনটো আছে 1962 and Civil Liability for Nuclear Damage Act 2010 আৰু আমি private player entry যাতে আমি আনিব পাৰো যাতে আমি এটা significant shift আনিব পাৰো এটা overall আমাৰ যোনটো energy architecture আছে ইন্ডিয়াৰ সেইখিনিত আমি যাতে এটা significant shift আনিব পাৰো. This comes amidst rising energy demand. Rising energy demand ite bahut bahi ase. Amar jonto target ase net zero target by 2070. Then volatility in fossil fuel market, the need for stable baseload power alongside renewables. India's energy transition rests on four pillar. Ki hoy? Energy security, decarbonization, affordability, technological self-reliance. So while solar and wind have expanded rapidly, their intermittent nature has exposed the need for firm, non-fossil baseload source. This is where nuclear energy assumes strategic importance. ঠিক আছে? আমাৰ এনাৰ্জি ট্ৰানজিশ্যনটো এটা 4টা পিলাৰৰ ওপৰতে ফ'কাছ কৰে: এনাৰ্জি চিকিউৰিটি, ডিকাৰ্বনাইজেশ্যন, এফৰ্ডেবিলিটি এণ্ড টেকনলজিকেল সেলফ ৰিলায়েন্স। নিউক্লিয়াৰ এনাৰ্জিটো কিয় ইম্পৰ্টেণ্ট হয় ফৰ ইণ্ডিয়াছ এনাৰ্জি লিগ? বিকজ বেছলোড পাৱাৰ ফৰ আ ৰিনিউৱেবল হেভি গ্ৰিড। আমাৰ কি হয়, সোলাৰ আৰু উইণ্ড এনাৰ্জিটো ৱেডাৰ ডিপেণ্ডেণ্ট হয় ন, ৱেডাৰৰ ওপৰত ডিপেণ্ড কৰে। কিন্তু নিউক্লিয়াৰ প্ৰভাইড Nuclear energy ki hoy 24/7 stable power eta provide kore. It ensures grid stability and it helps absorb higher renewable penetration without risking blackout. Okay, so hetu karone amar nuclear energy to beshi reliable hoi jay bahut khetrot, and it acts as an anchor of the energy transition. Nuclear energy acts as a anchor of the energy transition. Aru amar India 3-stage nuclear program to ami pohisu exam or karone, right? Say আমাৰ এটা 3-stage nuclear program আছে, যেনেকে first stage হ'ল uranium energy generation, second stage fast breeder reactor, fuel recycling, third stage thorium reactor, long-term sustainability. So India has abundant thorium reserve, around 25% of global reserve. So and PFBR operationalization at Kalpakkam marks entry into stage 2. Okay, আমি stage 2 le entry hoise amar. Then it multiplies fuel efficiency nearly 60 times. This ensures energy sovereignty unlike oil and gas import. Our major jodi breakthrough samami recent year fleet mode construction of indigenous reactor, one-off reactor to standardized serial production, focus on 700 MWE PHWRS. It reduces cost overrun, construction delays, import dependency. Example মই ইয়াত দি দিছো, চাই লব, পিডিএফটো মই দি দিম। The small modular reactor, এইটো low capital cost, faster construction, মানে এইবিলাক steel plants, cement industry এইবিলাকত ইউজ হয়। Then open nuclear sector to private participation. Private participation to এতিয়া open কৰিছে for nuclear sector. বহুত দিনলৈকে আমাৰ এটা state monopoly আছিলে, now মানে amendment যোনখিনি আনিছে তাত private players খিনিক allow কৰা গৈছে for operation, investors, technology partner। হেতু কাৰণে আমি দেখা পাইছো। মেট্ৰ কিয় কৰে? কাৰণ গভৰ্নমেণ্টে alone আমি 100 gigawatt capacity ফাইনেন্স কৰিব নোৱাৰে। So private capital আৰু efficiency যদি আমি আনো তেতিয়া আমাৰ ডিলে বিলাক কমিব, executionত improvement আহিব, innovationত more and more innovation আমি কৰিব পাৰিম। So success seen in renewable and space sector আমি দেখিছো, যেনেকে ইসৰো private মডেলটো আমি দেখিছো, হেতুত it will mirror success আমি দেখা পাইছো renewable and space sector, right? Then international cooperation despite geopolitics. India এটা sustained nuclear cooperation Russia, USA, France or লগত আমি maintain কৰা দেখা পাইছো। Despite sanction and geopolitical tension, আমি দেখা পাইছো long-term fuel supply contracts secured, localization of component increased, demonstrates strategic autonomy in energy diplomacy. A record nuclear power generation, আমি যদি চাওঁ fiscal year 24-25 56,681 million unit nuclear power generate hoise, avoided 49 million tons of carbon dioxide. Nuclear power now plays a climate mitigation role, not just energy security. Okay, key challenges ki ase moi hiniu di disu yate. You can take a read. Way forward মই mention কৰি দিছো, বাস চাই লব। So India's big leap in the energy sector marks a transition from energy scarcity to energy sovereignty by integrating nuclear power with renewables, opening the sector to private participation and leveraging indigenous technology. India is building a resilient, low carbon energy future. However, success will depend on legal clarity, financial innovation, public trust, and skilled manpower. So, if executed well, nuclear energy can become the backbone of India's clean energy transition and a cornerstone of its developmental aspirations. So, that is the conclusion of the whole news. That's it for today. PDF to মই attach কৰি দিম আপোনালোকে চাই ল'ব পাৰিব কিবা ডাউট থাকিলে do comment it on the comment section below. This is a MCQ and a mains question related to this. So that's it for today. Thank you for watching. Take care. Bye bye.